Okay, so here are my thoughts and my predictions for the 2025 Australian Open men's semis. So, the first match will be Zverev and Djokovic. Now, I've had a fair amount of thought about this, and on my last Australian Open video, I talked about how when Djokovic gets to this stage, he's damn near unbeatable, and none of this is incorrect. This is all correct. The stats back up. But given that he's currently struggling physically with his leg, and he's not been able to practice at all in the last 2 days, or since the Alcaraz match, and after the Alcaraz match, he actually talked about his physical situation and his concerns. I'll put what he said up on screen. Factoring that in, along with how Zverev is playing phenomenal at this moment in time. I think he's playing the best tennis of his career. His ranking speaks for itself. He's flying right now, and the way I see the match going is Zverev will likely bully the ball. I think he'll want to get on top of the ball and make Djokovic move. Now, obviously, yes, Djokovic is the greatest returner of all time. So even though Zverev will have what I believe to be a lot of success, Djokovic will still be in it. Unless somehow Zverev comes out all guns blazing and it's just too much for him, but I don't really see that happening. But I'm picking Zverev. And yes, you're probably thinking this goes against the grain of what I said. I'm just repeating myself, but I just really think that this could be Zverev's moment because of how well he's been playing. And Djokovic right now, in his late 30s, yes, he's been fantastic the last couple of years despite getting older, but with this persistent injury and the lack of playing time in the last couple of days in the lead up to this match, or lack of practice, and the concerns, and obviously we've seen during the Alcaraz match at times where he kind of stopped and pulled up. I just think Zverev with his form will completely, I don't want to say dominate, but I think he'll have a lot of success, and I think he'll come through that match. And I think Zverev will be, at the very least, a finalist in the Australian Open. And I think that'll be the end of the line in this tournament for Djokovic and Andy Murray as well. Got to mention him, Andy Murray being the coach. Still, that's a video for a separate day. Now the second match, Ben Shelton and Jannik Sinner. This one I find is easier to call, just based on the fact that Sinner is probably the most informed player at this moment in time. He is dominating every tournament he's playing in. He's only lost a single match. He's won the single match, I think, out of his last 34 or 35. It's ridiculous. And I think Ben Shelton has done so incredibly well to get to this point. And one thing I'm very happy as a tennis fan is that you want more players to come through like this. It happened with Jack Draper earlier, late on last year. Sadly, he obviously had to pull out of this tournament during one of the matches. I think it was with Alcaraz, and Alcaraz got through in a walkover. But it's really good because it gets that player, whoever is the one to come through, in this case Ben Shelton, so much experience, so much that he can take on board and pull and use that moving forward and apply it more, because ultimately tournaments are better when there's like 5 or 6 guys that could potentially win it. At this moment in time, I think there's 4. I would say there's probably 4 guys that you would probably put at the top of the list: Sinner, Djokovic, Alcaraz, and maybe even Zverev. Okay, maybe 4 is a bit much, but the way he's going and the way he's playing. But I'm picking Jannik Sinner because I just think he'll be too good for Ben Shelton. Now, they've played a handful of times, but the only time that Ben Shelton is only being able to beat Sinner was the very first time they played. Ever since then, the amount of times they've played, Sinner has won. And yeah, okay, we don't need to read a lot into the head-to-head, but Sinner just seems to Sinner just seems to be able to dominate the ball better than anyone at this moment in time. His ball striking is brilliant. And I just think he's going to be too much, and I could see that one being a straight sets, which wouldn't surprise me because of how well he's playing. And I think Ben Shelton's run will come to an end, and I think that the final will be Zverev and Sinner. Oh, I didn't say actually how long I think the other match will go on for. I think there's a good chance that the Zverev and Djokovic match is about 4 or 5 sets. It depends how well Djokovic starts. I think in order for Djokovic, if he's going to win this match, he has to start well. He has to take the first set, especially if you can see especially if there are early signs of him struggling physically, which I wouldn't be surprised if there is. But as Zverev gets off to a really hot start and is striking the ball really well, dominating, making Djokovic move left and right, and punishing him and being very effective on the serve, because his service stats in this tournament have been really good. He's second in service rating. Well, he's first when you factor in who's left. On the overall leaderboard, he's second. Was it third? I'm pretty sure it's second. But the point is that he's playing so well, and hampered Djokovic could come undone in this particular moment. But yeah, I've got Sinner and I've got Zverev. Let me know who you've got.